Hello students, happy day. In today's class we are going to start the next new chapter, straight lines. This is like the continuation of chapters coordinate geometry which you have learnt in your previous classes like class 8 and class 9 and 10. So in straight lines what are we going to learn? So before we learn things, let us recall what we have learnt in our previous classes. We have learnt about distance formula in the coordinate geometry of class 10. We know to start with, we have started in class 9 and we know how to plot a point, right? In a Cartesian plane, we know how to plot a point. That's what we learnt in class 9. Then in class 10, we have learnt certain things. Let us recall it now. First, we have learnt what is meant by a distance formula. How to find the distance between 2 points. If P and Q are the 2 points and if the coordinates of P are x1, y1 and the coordinates of Q are x2, y2, then how will you find the distance between P and Q, which is square root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. This is the distance formula. Yes. Next we have learned section formula. What is section formula? The coordinates of a point dividing the line segment joining the points x1, y1 and x2, y2 internally in the ratio m is to n r. We have learnt a formula for externally as well. So externally we will have minus, right? So what does this mean? If we have a line segment, say this is of the point x1, y1 and this is x2, y2, and I want to divide this line in the ratio m is to n. I want to divide this line in the ratio m is to n. Okay. So how will you find the coordinate of this point? There is a formula. This is called a section formula. What is this point? The coordinate of this point is given by mx2 plus nx1 divided by m plus n, comma my2 plus ny1 divided by m plus n. When it divides internally, right? So the coordinate of a point dividing the line segment joining the points x1, y1 and x2, y2 in the ratio m is to n are mx2 plus nx1, mx2 plus nx1 divided by m plus n, comma my2 plus ny1 divided by m plus n. This is called a section formula. These things we have learnt in our previous class. Next is midpoint formula. What is midpoint formula? If we want to divide it in the ratio 1 is to 1, in the sense, if we want to divide it into 2 equal halves, if the ratio is m is to n, if the m is to n ratio is equally if we want to divide, if m equals to n, then what happens? This formula will reduce to x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2, because we are going to replace m as n in this formula or n as m in the formula. Upon numerator you will get the same thing, right? So if you take common, that m in the numerator and that m in the denominator will get cancelled. So you will get x1 plus x2 divided by 2, similarly y1 plus y2 divided by 2. That is called a midpoint formula. Next, what we learnt is area of a triangle. How will you find the area of a triangle? If you have 3 vertices A, B, C, say A is x1, y1, B is x2, y2 and C is x3, y3, then how will you find the area formed by these 3 vertices? The formula is half into modulus of x1 into y2 minus y3 plus x2 into y3 minus y1 plus x3 into y1 minus y2. What is this modulus stands for? We will take only the absolute value. We will take only the magnitude in spite of the sign. Even if we get a negative, we will take it as a positive because we are dealing with area here. Area won't be negative, right? We are concentrating only on the values there. That's why we have modulus here. These 4 things you have learnt in your class 10 as well. Right, this is just a recall of the things. And the next thing, this also you have learnt in class 10, collinear property. What is meant by collinear? If 3 points lie on a line, if we have all the 3 points lie on a line, then we call the 3 points as collinear. So how can we say the 3 points are collinear? We can tell that the 3 points are collinear in many ways. In out of that, one way of telling is using area of a triangle formula. If 3 points are collinear, then we cannot form a triangle over there, right? How we can form a triangle? At least we need 2 non-collinear points. Only if we have 2 non-collinear points, we can form a triangle. If 3 points are collinear, we cannot construct a triangle there. If there is no triangle, area of triangle is going to be 0. So with the 3 given points, if the area of the triangle is 0, then we can say the 3 points are collinear. Only if the 3 points are collinear, we won't get a triangle there, and hence there won't be any area. Right? So these are all the things we have learnt in our class 10. What are all those things? Distance formula, section formula, midpoint formula, area of a triangle, and condition for 3 points to be collinear. Right? So in class 11, what are we going to learn? In class 11, we are going to learn exclusively about straight lines. About straight lines. Straight line is a simple geometrical figure. Even though it's so simple, it plays a vital role in the remaining geometrical figures, right? To form a remaining geometrical figure, straight line plays a vital role. So we are going to learn about the very important concept of a straight line called slope of a line. And after that, we are going to learn the different forms of equation of a line. These are the 2 things which we are going to learn in this chapter. Slope of a line and different forms of equation of a line. First, let us see what is meant by slope of a line. What is called a slope of a line? Suppose, see, this is a line L, and we have the axis x and y, and this is a line L, and theta is the inclination made by the line with the x-axis. Theta is the inclination of a line L. Then how will you define the slope of this line? We will denote it with the symbol m. M denotes the slope of the line. M is tan theta. What is m? M is tan theta. How will you find the slope of a given line? It is tan theta. Okay, what is theta? Theta is the inclination of the line with the x-axis, right? Inclination of the line is called theta. If this is theta, this is going to be 180 minus theta, right? So the inclination of the line is called the theta, and what is the slope? Slope of a line is tan theta. We will denote it using the symbol m. Therefore, what will be the slope of x-axis? When we talk about x-axis, this line is on x-axis, therefore theta is going to be 0. So tan 0 is 0. So slope of x-axis is 0. What is slope of y-axis? This angle theta, y-axis means it is going to be a perpendicular line. So theta is going to be 90 degree there, right? So tan 90 is not defined. Therefore, slope of y-axis is not defined, right? So when the inclination of the line is known, slope is tan theta. But if the inclination is not known, and if you know the 2 end points of the line segment, then how will you find the slope? There is a formula which is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, if you apply this formula, you can find the slope of the line, right? So how will you find a slope of the line? Slope of a line can be found in 2 ways. One is using its inclination, other is using its end points. If you know the inclination, slope is going to be tan theta. If you know the 2 end points of a line segment, then its slope is going to be y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, right? And one more thing I wish to insist on here, when we talk about inclination of a line, it should be measured in a positive direction of x-axis and in the anti-clockwise direction, because immediate question will arise, why not this 180 minus theta, why we should take theta, because this is also the angle made by the line with the x-axis only, right? So it should be measured in the positive direction and in the anti-clockwise direction, right? And obviously theta will lie in between 0 and 180, right? So I repeat what we learned now: slope of a line can be found in two ways. One is if we know the inclination, slope is going to be tan theta. If we know 2 points, then it is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Next, what we are going to see is condition for parallelism and perpendicularity of lines in terms of the slope. As I told you, that is what the beauty of math, where we can relate it to our personal life. A problem can be solved in many ways. This I used to tell repeatedly, where you can relate it with your life. A problem, when you face a problem in your life, that can be solved in many ways to reach your solution, but it will have the unique solution, right? But the ways in which you approach the problem may differ. So you should not worry about facing a problem. If you start proceeding in one way and if you find it difficult to arrive at your solution, very well you can stop there and you can start a new method to adopt the solution, to reach your solution. Hope you understood. So there are different ways to solve a problem. That is what the beauty of math, and that is what the ethic which we can, or ethic or the value which you can learn through the subject. Yes, so I wish to insist that here. If you see, come back to this condition for parallelism and perpendicularity of lines in terms of the slope. So how can you say two lines are parallel, or how can you say two lines are perpendicular? This is not the only way to tell only if the slopes are equal the lines will become parallel. No, there are many other things whereby you can tell the two lines are parallel, the two lines are perpendicular. So this is one of the way using slope. If you know the slope, how can you tell that the two lines are parallel? How can you tell that the two lines are perpendicular? So that's what we are going to see here. If the line L1 is parallel to L2, then M1 is equals to M2. If two lines are parallel, then their slopes will be equal. Why? It been beautifully depicted in a diagram in your textbook. See, this is two lines L1 and L2, right? L1 and L2. This is the angle made by inclination of L1, and this is the inclination of L2. And since two lines are parallel, their inclinations will be equal always. Then only the two lines will become parallel, right? When we call two lines are parallel, when they do not meet each other. If the inclination differs, obviously they will meet at some point or the other. So their inclinations will be same. Alright, when alpha is equal to beta, then obviously tan alpha will be equal to tan beta, taking tangent ratio on both sides, right? So, and hence their slopes will become equal. So if the slopes are equal, the two lines will become parallel. Yes, hope you understood. Let us see what is the condition for the two lines to become perpendicular. If two lines L1 and L2 are perpendicular, then this beta will become alpha plus 90 degree. Alright, and hence if you substitute and check out, we get M2 is minus 1 by M1, or the product of the two slopes is minus 1. The product of the two slopes is minus 1, or one slope is the negative reciprocal of the other. You can say the product of two slopes is minus 1, or one slope is the negative reciprocal of the other. So these are the conditions for the two lines to become parallel and perpendicular. So if two lines are parallel, then their slopes are equal. If the lines are perpendicular, then the product of their slopes is equal to minus 1. Right? Now next, what are we going to see is how to find the angle between two lines when their slopes are known. When their slopes are known, how will you find the angle between two lines? Tan theta is equals to modulus of M2 minus M1 divided by 1 plus M1 M2. Tan theta is what? M2 minus M1 divided by 1 plus M1 M2. What is this M1 and M2? M1 is the slope of the first line and M2 is the slope of the second line. Okay, so we need theta. Theta is the angle between the two lines. Then theta will be tan inverse of this value. Tan inverse of this value. Yes, hope you understood. This is a formula to find the angle between the two lines. Next is collinearity of 3 points. Just now I told you a condition, a problem can be faced in many ways, right? So just now we have seen a condition to show that the 3 lines are collinear. What is it? The 3 points, the 3 points are collinear when the area of the triangle is equal to 0. If the area of the triangle is 0, we can say the 3 points are collinear. Now we are going to see how can we tell the 3 points are collinear using the slope condition. If the 3 points are collinear, then the 3 points lie on the same line. So AB is a segment of this line and BC is another segment of the line. Therefore, obviously their slopes should be equal. Right? Slopes should be equal. Therefore, slope of AB is equal to slope of BC. Then the 3 points will become collinear. Only if they lie on a straight line, their slopes will be equal. So, using slope condition, we can tell the 3 points are collinear. So, in a question, if you get prove that the 3 given points are collinear, you can prove that problem, you can solve that problem in any way as you wish. Either you can find the slope of AB, slope of BC, and you can tell the slopes are equal, therefore the 3 points are collinear, or you can find the area of the triangle formed by the 3 points, and then you can tell area is 0 and hence the 3 points are collinear. Right? It is up to you. So that's it for this topic. With all these ideas, we are going to solve the first exercise in the chapter straight line. So what are all, I want to again give the gist what we learned: distance formula, section formula, midpoint formula, area of a triangle, collinearity condition based on area of a triangle. Then the new thing what we learned today in this class, slope of a line, how we can find using the inclination of the line, and how we can find using the 2 endpoints of the line, a line segment. Then the condition for 2 lines to be parallel and perpendicular based on its slope, and how to find the angle between 2 lines based on the slope, and how to tell the 3 points are collinear based on the slope. This is what we learnt in today's class. So now let us get into the exercise 10.1. So the first question in exercise 10.1, draw a quadrilateral in the Cartesian plane whose vertices are, they have given you 4 vertices, find its area. They asked you to draw a quadrilateral in the Cartesian plane, vertices are given. So I have drawn it roughly. Your first point is minus 4 comma 5. Somewhere here I have plotted it. 0 comma 7 it will lie on the y-axis. 5 comma minus 5 somewhere here, and minus 4 comma minus 2. Minus 4 will be exactly same as here, right? So I have plotted all the points on the Cartesian plane, and now we got a quadrilateral. They asked you to find its area. So how can we find the area of this quadrilateral? We are going to draw one diagonal now, so that we will get 2 triangles. We can find the area of this triangle, and then we can find the area of this triangle, and then we can add those 2 to get the area of the quadrilateral. That is what the idea behind it, right? Now how will you find the area of a triangle? We know a formula. Area of triangle is equals to what? Half into modulus of x1 into y2 minus y3 plus x2 into y3 minus y1 plus x3 into y1 minus y2. Alright, this is what the formula I told you. See, how will you remember this? 1, 2, 3, then 2, 3, 1, then 3, 1, 2 in a cyclic way, right? 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2. Remember in that way so that you won't forget. So that's what I have written here: 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1 and 3, 1, 2. This is how you can remember. Now let us find the area of triangle ABD now. So we are going to find the area of triangle ABD. So as I told you, first let us find the area of triangle ABD. So you can name the quadrilateral in any order as you wish, but it should be cyclic. So I have named it as ABCD. I have taken this triangle first. So the vertices You can write it here so that you won't make any mistake. Minus 4, 5, B is 0, 7 and D is minus 4, minus 2. This is x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3. Now we are going to substitute in the formula. So it is going to be half into modulus of x1 into y2 minus y3. So 7 minus into minus, it will become plus 2, plus x2 is 0 into y3 minus y1, minus 2 minus 5, plus x3 is minus 4 into y1 minus y2. So 5 minus 7, right? So it's simplification only. Once we simplified, we got minus. That's why we have modulus here. So you can take it as a positive value. So 28 divided by 2 is 14. Alright. Next we are going to find the area of this triangle BDC. The area of BDC, again we have to take those three vertices, substitute in the formula, simplify it, and we got 46.5. Now area of quadrilateral is going to be this plus this. So 14 plus 46.5, which is 60.5 square units. Right? Hope you understood. Let us move on to the next question now. Let us move on to the next question. The base of an equilateral triangle with side 2A lies along the y-axis such that the midpoint of the base is at the origin. Find the vertices of the triangle. So what is given? It is an equilateral triangle with side 2A and its base lies along the y-axis such that midpoint of the base is at the origin. We have to find the vertices of the triangle, right? So this is what that equilateral triangle, the base lies on the y-axis and it is given each side is 2A. Therefore, this is midpoint which is given. Origin is the midpoint. So if the side is 2A, what will be this length and this length? This is also A, this is also A. Then only we will get 2A, right? The full length as 2A. Obviously the vertices of this is going to be, since it lies on y-axis, your x coordinate is 0. So this is going to be 0 comma A and this is going to be 0 comma minus A, because which is the negative y-axis, right? So we had to find the coordinates of this point. If we name this as A, B, C, we got the coordinates of B and C. We had to find A. How can we find the vertices of A now? It can be found in many ways, because we know the distance between A and B is 2A, right? So we can apply the distance formula and we will get an equation in x and y. Similarly, this is also 2A, right? And in that way also, applying distance formula also you can find out. Or the easy way to find the vertices of A is, this is perpendicular, right? This is 90 degrees. So that we can apply Pythagoras theorem. We can apply Pythagoras theorem and then we can find the distance, this distance. If we name this as O, we can find what is OA, right? We can find what is OA. We can apply Pythagoras theorem because this is 90 degree. We can take any one triangle and then we can find the distance OA. Once we know OA, we can very well locate the coordinates of A, since A lies on x-axis, right? So let us see how can we find that. Therefore, by applying Pythagoras theorem in this triangle OAB, we got AB square is equal to OA square plus OB square. This is 2A. What about OB? This full distance is 2A. This is A. So A square. So if we simplify, we got OA as root 3A. Therefore, the coordinates of A are root 3A comma 0, because it lies on x-axis. So what are the three vertices of the triangle? So root 3A comma 0, 0 comma A and 0 comma minus A. Only this is the possibility? No. We can have the triangle this way also, right? We don't know whether it lies on the positive of x-axis or negative of x-axis. So we can write in this way. Hence the vertices of the triangle are, root 3A comma 0, 0 comma A and 0 comma minus A, or Suppose you can have the triangle in this way also, right? So if it lies here, it is going to be the negative of x-axis. So it will become minus root 3a comma 0, 0 comma a and 0 comma minus a. Hope you understood. We have considered the equilateral triangle like this, but it can be like this also, because it is never, they have never mentioned about the direction, positive direction, negative direction, and they didn't tell. They told base is along y-axis and it lies on the x-axis. So it can be like this also. So it can be these three vertices or these three vertices. Hope you understood. Let us move on to our next question. Our next question is, find the distance between P and Q, where P is x1, y1 and Q is x2, y2, when PQ is parallel to y-axis and PQ is parallel to x-axis. Now see, PQ is parallel to y-axis. What do you infer from this? When PQ is parallel to y-axis, what do you infer? All the x values will be same, right? All the x values are same, only it differ with the y values. All the points lie on the line. Yes or no? When we draw a line, when we will get a line parallel to y-axis, when we will get a line parallel to y-axis, what is the equation? What is the equation of y-axis? Equation of y-axis is x is equal to 0, right? Equation of y-axis is x is equal to 0. What is the equation of any line parallel to y-axis? X is equal to some constant. X is equal to some constant. So what does this imply? X are same. This imply x1 is equal to x2, right? When a line parallel to x-axis, what do you infer? The equation of x-axis is y equal to 0. What is the equation of a line parallel to x-axis? Y is equal to some constant. So this implies y1 equals to y2, right? x1 equal to x2 if PQ is parallel to y-axis, y1 equals to y2 if PQ is parallel to x-axis. So with this condition, we can find the distance. What is distance formula? Square root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square, right? Now x1 and x2 are same, so this is going to become 0 here, so which is nothing but square root of y2 minus y1 the whole square. That square and square root will get cancelled. So the answer is y2 minus y1. You can write modulus because we are going to take only the positive value since we are dealing with the distance, right? The same way here PQ is going to be, since y1 minus y1 and y2 are same, this is going to become 0 here. So we will end up with x2 minus x1 the whole square. The square and square root will get cancelled. So this is x2 minus x1. Yes? Hope you understood. Let us move on to our next question now. So let us see the fourth question. They asked you to find a point on x-axis. They asked you to find a point on x-axis which is equidistant from the point 7, 6 and 3, 4. Equidistant means what? Equal distance, right? We need to find a point on x-axis such that which is equidistant from these 2 points. This is 7, 6 and this is 3, 4. They told it is equidistant from this point, which means this distance is equal to this distance. Let us name this as B and this as C, right? Since they have given you this point lies on x-axis, it is going to be of the form a, 0, right? Y coordinate will be 0. So it is clearly given it is equidistant, therefore the distance between A and B should be equal to the distance between B and C. You can name it as you wish. I have named it as A, B and C, right? Now what is distance formula? Square root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. So I have applied the formula with these points and then simplify it. Both sides square roots will get cancelled. Then apply a minus b the whole square identity here. 0 minus 6 is going to be 6. 6 square is 36. Similarly here a minus b the whole square identity. 4 minus 0 is going to be 4. 4 square is 16. So if you bring the like terms to one side and if you simplify, we got a as 15 by 2 and hence the required point is 15 by 2 comma 0. Yes, Hope you understood. Let us move on to the next question now. See the fifth question. Find the slope of a line which passes through the origin and the midpoint of the line segment joining the points this. Read the question again slowly, understand it carefully. Find the slope of a line. We need to find the slope of a line, that line which passes through the origin and the midpoint of the line segment joining the points. So the slope of the line which we need to find, right? That line passes through origin. So one point on that line is origin 0, 0. The other point we need to find a slope. How can we find a slope of a line? There are two methods. One is we should know the inclination of the line, or we should know 2 points on the line, right? One we should know the inclination and the other is we should know 2 points on the line. If we know 2 points on the line, we can find the slope using the formula y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, right? Or else we should know the inclination. This problem is talking about the points which lies on the line. So we should go with the second method of finding slope, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. For that we need 2 points. So they have given you which passes through the origin. So we got 1 point. For the another point they have given you some clue. And it passes through the midpoint of the line segment joining the point. So it also passes through the midpoint of the line joining these 2 points, right? So first you have to find the midpoint of these 2 points. What is midpoint formula? x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. If you apply that formula, you will get one answer, one coordinate. So keeping that point as y1 and y2 and keeping origin as x1 and x2, you have to find the slope. Hope you understood. The slope of the line which passes through the origin and the midpoint of. So find the midpoint of this, that will give you 1 point. That point and origin you have to find the slope. I am leaving this problem as homework to you. Let us move on to the next question now. Without using the Pythagoras theorem, show that the points are the vertices of a right angled triangle. How can we show? So what do we know about right angled triangle? One angle is 90 degree, or else 2 sides are perpendicular. We can say 2 sides are perpendicular. How can we say 2 sides are perpendicular with the slope condition? Their 2 slopes should be, the product of their 2 slopes should be equal to -1. So what can we do now? We have 3 sides of a triangle, right? And we know all the 3 vertices. So we will find the slope of each side of the triangle. See, we have 3 vertices. Say A, B, C. What is your A? 4, 4 and B is 3, 5 and C is -1, -1. So without using Pythagoras theorem, we should tell this is a right angled triangle. How can we tell? Find the slope of AB, okay, and find the slope of BC and find the slope of AC. We will get all the 3. So how can we find the slopes? Because we know 2 points on the line, so that you can use y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 formula. We can find what is our m1. Similarly with BC we can find what is m2. With AC we can find what is m3. Once you know all the 3 slopes, try or check out whether the product of any 2 slopes is equal to -1. If the product of any 2 slopes is equal to -1, that 2 line segments will become perpendicular, and hence we can conclude that these 2 sides of the triangle are perpendicular, and hence it is a right angled triangle, right? Hope you understood. This problem is also homework to you. Now let us see question number 8. Question number 8. Find the value of x for which the points are collinear. So what are all the conditions you know about collinear? 3 points are collinear if the area of a triangle is 0, or else the slope of two points which you have taken. Suppose if you take this as A, B and C, we know slope of AB is equal to slope of BC, right? Then the points will be collinear. So you can take any one condition. Hope it will be better to take slope condition. You mark this as A, B and C. Find the slope of AB and find the slope of BC, because we know the vertices. So use y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Here we have one unknown variable, right? Equate both the slopes, then you can find what is your x. Hope you understood. Slope of AB is equal to slope of BC. So you will get unknown variable on one side, bring the like terms to one side of the equation, and you can very well find what is the value of x here, right? So 8th question is also homework to you. Let us see 9th question. Without using distance formula, show that are the vertices of a parallelogram. So what is the condition of a parallelogram? What are the properties of a parallelogram? In a parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel and equal, right? In a quadrilateral, if the opposite sides are parallel and equal, it is a parallelogram, right? So how can we show that the sides are parallel? How can we show that the sides are parallel? You can find the slope again. You can find the slope again, and if you tell that, which problem are we seeing now? We are in 9th question. Without using distance formula. With using distance formula, how will you show that it is a parallelogram? We have seen, we have learnt in class 10. What we will do? We will tell the opposite sides are equal and the diagonals are not equal. We will find the distance between the distance between the vertices, right? And we will tell if the opposite sides are of equal distance, we will tell opposite sides are equal, and also we will check out with the diagonal to say diagonals are not equal in a parallelogram, right? Diagonals are not equal in a parallelogram. In a rectangle, the diagonals are equal. So we can say if the opposite sides are equal and the diagonals are not equal, the given vertices form a parallelogram. But here they have clearly mentioned without using distance formula, so that you can go with slope formula. We know opposite sides are parallel. So take the vertices of the opposite sides and find the slope. So you have to find the slope of AB, BC, CD and DA, and tell the opposite sides have the equal slope. If they have equal slope, because that is the condition for the parallelity, right? Parallel lines will have equal slope. So if the opposite sides have equal slope, then the opposite sides are parallel, and hence the given vertices form a parallelogram. So this is what all the 4 vertices of a parallelogram. You should tell M1 equal to M3, M2 equal to M4. Then only this will become parallel to this will become parallel to this, and hence it will form a parallelogram, right? So with this, let us wind up today's class, and you have to do question number 5, 6, 8 and 9 from exercise 10.1 as homework. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. So in today's class, what are all the things we have learnt? We have started learning about straight lines, and we brushed up the concepts which we learnt in our previous classes, like distance formula, and then section formula, midpoint formula, then area of a triangle and the condition for the collinearity, and then we have learnt the main concept called slope of straight line. Slope of a straight line, how to find the slope in 2 ways when we know the inclination and we know 2 points which lie on the line, and the condition for parallelity, perpendicularity, and then how to find the angle between 2 lines, and the condition for collinearity when you know the slope. So these are all the things we learnt. Based on this, we have solved few problems. Let us continue the concept in the next class. Thank you, students.